Crafternoons. I'm your host, Samir.
And I'm Leah.
And we're located in Garfield in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we're at Assemble. What is Assemble?
Assemble is a community space for arts and technology.
Sweet. Yeah, and wait a minute. Oh my gosh. What are Crafternoons?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Crafternoons are a way for us to introduce local artists from Pittsburgh and maybe even outside of Pittsburgh. Dun, dun, dun.
We'll see.
And we like to ask the artist about their passions and to kind of show us or take us through a project that we could end up creating and sharing. Yeah.
So this week, our local artist is Madonna. Madonna.
Woo! How's it going?
Going great, and you?
Good. I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's a sunny day, so Pittsburgh's usually pretty cloudy.
I grabbed my sunglasses today. It was an odd feeling.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was trying to figure out how to come here, and I was like, well, I could take a second bus, or I could walk through the cemetery. So I did that.
Oh, did you walk? Yeah, that's awesome.
Did you meet any ghosts?
No, just other walkers and cars.
Oh, nice.
Not at high noon.
Not at high noon. Maybe at midnight.
Yeah. But then the gates are closed, so.
It's because of the ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions for you. That's okay. What's your favorite sweet?
So I really like ice cream. I like a lot of fruit flavors, like black raspberry. But I also like chocolate ice cream with brownies.
Yo, double chocolate.
Yeah, for real. That's so good.
I like whenever we go to a place where they like mix in the stuff,
Yes.
so like brownie bites in there.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
Cold Stone.
Have you ever been? It's called Shout Out Sub-Zero, but it's on Highland, and they actually use nitrogen
Whoa.
to
nice,
freeze their ice cream mix. So it's not only really good ice cream, but it's also a super cool science show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really cool. I've never been there. I'll have to check it out.
Me either. I'll have to check it out.
It's next to Millie's, so it's always a hard battle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. If you know Millie's, yeah. Millie's ice cream is also very good. And a lot of like vegan options.
Yeah, I just moved to Pittsburgh a year ago, so got everything in order before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to go out and explore a bit more again now.
Well, we got you on the ice cream locations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you found an ice cream shop that you're like?
To be honest, my fiance and I just walk down to the local Dollar General and get a big thing of ice cream.
Nice.
Probably for the best,
Yeah,
huh?
the move.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we were talking before that we've been kind of into reading a lot more. Maybe the winter, maybe quarantine. But have you been into any books? And are you into any books?
Yeah, I've been reading a ton recently. What I'm reading right now is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, which is like the OG science fiction back in the 1800s.
Nice.
And I'm just getting to the good part where they're on the submarine that so in the story this big thing shows up in the ocean and everyone's like, well, what is this? Is this like a giant whale? But it's much bigger than any whale. And so they send a ship after it, and the scientist is on board, who's the narrator, and he ends up off the ship and on the submarine.
Ooh.
That's true.
I wonder if it's the Loch Ness Monster.
It's actually this guy whose name is Captain Nemo, who is really big into privacy. He doesn't want anyone to know who he is or where he's from, but he built this ship, or submarine rather, before anyone else had built any submarines.
Maybe,
Let's-
maybe it's what we see at the Carnegie Museum. The big submarine down there.
It's all connected.
Yeah, that's the only connection to submarines that I have.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't really know much
Or that I
about
can-
submarines. Yeah.
I can like put into perspective of that. So like my first thing was like, whoa, that's really big.
Yeah, and so I got onto that book because I was reading Eat Like a Fish, which is about farming the ocean sustainably and using the 3D space to grow plants and animals that filter the water and clean the water. So there's no inputs and you get a lot of food out. And the person there was saying, oh yeah, a lot of these seaweeds are also mentioned in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Huh.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is it the same author?
Oh no. This Eat Like a Fish book is published like 2020,
Okay.
and then Jules Verne was back in the 1800s.
Wow.
That's
That's so
awesome.
cool.
It's really cool how things grow, literally
Mhm.
too.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't. Has that movie been like remade into a movie? Or has that
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, if it's been made into a movie, I don't know about it, but another book by the same author, Journey to the Center of the Earth, has been made into a movie multiple times, and yeah, I highly recommend it, especially the one with The Rock.
I was gonna say, I think I remember the Rock in commercials.
Yeah. All right. Now we got book suggestions, ice cream suggestions, and movie suggestions.
And now we're gonna make some stuff. This is the best.
Yes.
Ready for a nice weekend at home.
Yeah, let's go check out what Madonna has in store for us.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
This Crafternoon at Assemble, we're going to be making woven paper heart baskets. And what we're going to do, we've got these templates in 2 different colors, and we've got some more paper, is we're going to take these template sheets and fold them in the middle, right on this middle line. So we're going to fold it like a hot dog right down the middle. I'm going to do that with this sheet too. So, once they're folded, we can use the template that's printed on one side to cut out both sides of the paper. And it'll be the same on both sides. So we want the same thing here and here. So we fold it and we cut. So first I'm going to cut out the red ones and then the white. I'm going to cut all the way around these edges. And all the way up. And once I have it out like this, I'm going to cut these lines in the middle and just a little bit further. So, lines just a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or 2 millimeters further. And that's to give us some wiggle room. So I'm gonna cut the rest of these, and the same thing applies. We're gonna cut the lines and cut them just a little bit further. And the interesting thing about these shapes is it's a square with half a circle. And you can demonstrate this by putting them on top of each other. And so you've got your square, and then you've got your half circle. Now the interesting thing is, it really doesn't matter what lines you cut as long as they're inside the square. And then just a little bit more for wiggle room, which will really help with putting them together. So the way most people do it is with these straight lines. But I figured out you can do any lines you want as long as they go from the folded edge up to the top of the square. You can put these together with any lines that you want. And with these, I have 4 different patterns, and they're designed to make interesting patterns if you match the ones with the same pattern together. So if you match the straight lines with the straight lines, and the curved lines with the curved lines, and the zigzags with the zigzags, and the squiggles with the squiggles, then it makes some really interesting patterns. But, and this is kind of a math secret, you can use any of these lines with any of the other lines and it'll still go together. So why does that work? Well, it's because when we're weaving, it doesn't matter where the lines cross each other, it'll always be able to go through. And that's something really interesting. And so I'm also going to want you to make your own patterns once you've played around with these. And so before you weave all of yours, I want you to use one as a template to draw the shape on the blank sheets of paper too. So the way to do that is to get out a pencil and get one of your blank sheets of paper that doesn't have anything printed on it. Fold it in half like a hot dog. And crease it nice and hard. And then you take one of your shapes that you already cut out and you put the folded edge on the folded edge of the blank sheet. And I'm going to line it up with the side so I don't have to cut as much. And I'm going to draw the outline here. And if I wanted to copy this one, what I would do is I would lift up one leg, draw that line, lift up the next leg, draw that line, lift up the last leg, and draw that line. So I've got an exact copy. Now, if I wanted to do something a little different with that pattern on the other color, I'm gonna fold it in half like a hot dog, crease it real hard. I'm gonna line up the folded edge with the folded edge, And I'm going to trace around. And for this one, I'm just going to put points here at the top of the square so I know where to draw my lines to. Okay, so I've got those points, and now I'm going to make my own lines. I think I'm going to make this one straight, and then these two curve like that, because that looks like fun. Okay, so later on we're going to see what happens when I put those together. But first, I'm going to finish cutting out the rest. So I bet you're wondering how I got these patterns. And I made them up. So I went on my computer and I opened up a program called Inkscape, which is available for free. And I drew a square and put half a circle on top, and then started putting these lines in the square. So if that's something that you want to play around with, maybe you could find an adult who can get you started drawing lines on a computer. So with these patterns, what I did is I made the patterns in the computer, and then I made a copy of, for example, this shape. So when I drew it on the computer, I had it facing like this. And then I made a copy and I rotated it so it was this way. So the two lined up on top of each other, and I could see what pattern was going to come out. So then when I did this pattern and I lined it up, I saw that I didn't quite like the pattern, so I adjusted the lines and made a new copy, and then I did like the pattern. So it's something that you can design and try new things over and over. And then if you do it on the computer instead of by hand, you can just print out the ones that you like. And then also you might be wondering, what do I use these heart baskets for? Well, Valentine's Day is coming up. And so when I was a kid, my mom taught me to make these so I could put candy inside and give them to my classmates. So I know some of y'all probably are doing classes at home, but you could definitely make these and give them to your brothers and sisters. That would be fun. So this one is a lot of cutting, a lot of curves. And if you have trouble with the cutting, don't worry, it'll still go together. But if you want to get an adult to cut for you, that's totally fine. Everyone is welcome to join in. Okay, so I've got the red ones cut out. Now for the white ones. And we're going to cut out the interior lines now. And just a little further than they're printed. And the other thing, when you're experimenting and making your own patterns, there isn't a fixed number of lines that there have to be. Like these have 3 lines, but this one has 4, and there can be as many as you want, and you can make this as big as you want. And I'll show another way to change how it looks also. And it's okay if putting them together is hard. I've seen adults try to do this, and it was hard for some of them. So this is something that you can get really good at, and then have something that you can do that other people around you can't, which is really cool. And then you can teach people, like I'm doing with you. Okay, so that's cut out. I'm going to draw another variation on here. Just share that edge line. And let's see, what kind of thing do I want to draw? I think I want to do the squiggle, a straight line, and a zigzag. Okay, and I'm going to want to do the same one on the other paper, so I'm going to cut this one out first. But before we get there, I'm going to show you how to weave the straight one. So we're going to put them together like this in a heart shape. And I'm going to start, and the weaving we're doing, it's not going to be over, under, over, under. It's going to be through, around, through, around. So let me show you what I mean. When I say through, I mean I take this white one and put it in the middle of this folded red one. And then around is when I take this red one and put it in the middle of the white one. So next I'm going to put the white in the middle of the red, and then the red in the middle of the white. And then, can anyone guess what I'm going to do next? So I'm going to take the white on the outside, so it goes red, white. So I'm going to open it up, stick that through, and then go in middle, and then put red in the middle, and then the white in the middle. It's like the one color of paper is hugging the other color of paper. So red hugs white, and then white hugs red, and then red hugs white, and white hugs red. And you can see that I'm pushing these all the way to the top. And that's so I have enough space to get this last row in. So white hugs red, red hugs white, white hugs red, and red hugs white. So now we can push everything down towards the folded edge. And open it up, and we've got a basket. We can put all kinds of things in our basket. We can put thimbles. We can put thread. And we can tape it together on top, or however you would like to do it. So that's one basket with a checkerboard pattern that was made with the straight lines. Next up, we're going to do a bendy pattern with 4 lines and see how that goes. So I'm going to line it up, and if you want the lines to not show, all you gotta do is open it up and flip it inside out. Let me do that with the other one too. So I'm going to open it up and flip it inside out. So now the lines will be on the inside, not the outside. What I'm going to do is red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, white hugs red, and red hugs white. Next up, white hugs red, red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, and white hugs red. So you can see we're getting some interesting curvy effects. Next up, middle row, red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, white hugs red, and red hugs white. Next row, white hugs red, red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, and white hugs red. One more to go. So, red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, and this one is a little harder because you can see this gap that it's got to go through is smaller than the piece of paper. So I'm taking it and pinching it. Yeah, so this gap here is smaller than this piece of paper. So I'm pinching it in half so that it'll go through. And then I'll unpinch on the other side. You gotta be pretty careful with this, that it doesn't tear or crumple. And open it back up. White hugs red. And then last one, red hugs white. And again, it's a tight fit, but that's why we cut a little further in the beginning. And you've got this bulging shape. So it's still checkerboard colors, but it's a different shape. And that's pretty cool. And it opens up, and you can see inside. So next up, we've got this one with the zigzag lines. So now we're doing the zigzag lines, and we're back to 3 lines, so it's not quite as much work to do the weave. And let's see what we get. So red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, and white hugs red. Next, white hugs red, and red hugs white, white hugs red, and red hugs white. Next up, red hugs white, white hugs red, red hugs white, and white hugs red. And last but not least, white hugs red, red hugs white, and this is another one where it's a bit skinny on the other side, so gotta either pull your way through or pinch it a little folded. White hugs red, and red hugs white. And this last one, if it's hard to push it through, you can open it up and push from the inside. Just make sure to get both sides all the way in. Then you can settle it down to towards the folded side in both directions. And you've got this interesting shape in the middle that is an octagon. Now, you've always got this patch of 4 in the middle either way, but this time you've got more edges because this line goes straight, but this line is a zigzag, and so it cuts across and does interesting things. So that's that one. And now the squiggly lines. So what we're going to do is start out in the same way with red hugs white. And then white hugs red. So open it up. And just be careful with this one that you don't tear the paper, because it is a bit skinnier than the other patterns between the lines. And with this pattern in particular, it's easy to get it tangled, so just be careful of that. And then red hugs white, and white hugs red. Next up, white hugs red. And now we start to see that this isn't going to look like a normal checkerboard pattern. Red hugs white. White hugs red. And red hugs white. So that's pretty cool. And things of the same color are touching each other for a long distance, not just at corners like the other ones. So that's pretty different, but structurally it's exactly the same. So we continue with the next one. Red hugs white, because you see white hugged red there. So red's going to hug white here. And these are a little tricky to get through, but I believe in you. You can do it. go. And then white hugs red. Red hugs white. If I can get it apart. There we go. And white hugs red. Last but not least, white hugs red. Red hugs white. White hugs red. And red hugs white. All right. Now we settle everything out. You can see that this makes an interesting pattern. With the first weave, everything is really aligned with our starting direction. But with this one, it's exactly in between. So you've got things going this way and this way, but not this way or this way. At least that's how it looks. But you know that you wove it straight this way. So how does that work? Well, it's pretty cool, and I'm really looking forward to what patterns you discover when you play with these, because there's a whole wide world out there. Now, I want to try some to show you what it could look like when you play with them. So I'm going to cut these out. Actually, cut this one first. And another way to make a variation on this is, instead of following this half circle, cut any shape you want. So you can do bumps outside of it. You can cut holes on the inside. As long as the square is good, then the whole thing will still work. So I'm going to use this one as a template for the next one, which means I need to cut this out so I can trace. A little further. Go. And the weave. Okay, so using this one as a template, put it down and trace along the outside. And I'm going to pick up one of the edges and trace along the inside. Pick up another edge, trace that line, and pick up another edge and trace that line. Okay, so now these are ready to cut out. I'm going to up and around. And cut out this pattern. So there's one. I've got another one to cut out from here. And up the middle. And I'm also going to cut out this last one. Okay. So first, let's see what happens with these two if I put them together. So they're not the same pattern, but they're still going to go together because the math lets them. So we're going to start out with red hugs white, then white hugs red, red hugs white, and white hugs red. Next up, white hugs red, red hugs white, white hugs red, and red hugs white. Next one, red hugs white. White hugs red. Red hugs white. And white hugs red. Looks like I cut this pretty tight, which is why you should always cut a little bit extra. Next up, white hugs red. Red hugs white. And just push her on through. Use your fingernails on the other side to help. As I was saying, I cut it too tight. White hugs red, and then last one, red hugs white. And this one I can help from the inside. And I might need a pointy object, like scissors, to push it all the way through. And there we go. So in one way, it's completely straight. In the other way, it curves in. Pretty cool, huh? And you can see the inside. So, last but not least, we've got these funky shaped ones with 3 different kinds of lines and some interesting curves on the top. And this one I'm going to flip over so that the curves on the top are mirrored. So red hugs white. White hugs red. Red hugs white. And white hugs red. Next up, White Hugs Red. Red Hugs White. White Hugs Red. And Red Hugs White. So you can see we've got these interesting cross or X shapes forming at the intersections with the jagged lines. Next up, Red Hugs White. Then White Hugs Red. Red Hugs White again. And White Hugs Red. So you can see our straight line there goes straight across. It meets the other straight line in a straight way. And then White Hugs Red. Red Hugs White. Bit of a squeeze. So I'm going to fold this down and let it go through. And open that up here on the inside. And then White Hugs Red. And Red Hugs White. Again, going on the inside to get it all squared away. I'm going to use my handy dandy pointy object and push it all the way in. Ooh, that's cool. It's interesting. So I've got these curvy lines that are making this dip here, and straight lines and the square. And so you can make any shape you want. And yeah, have fun with it. I'm really interested to see what you come up with. I think this one kind of looks like a leaf, like a maple leaf or something.
Thanks so much for joining us this week for Saturday Crafternoon. We would love to see what you've created. To do so, please share by posting on our Facebook page, tagging us on Instagram at assemblepgh, or email me at my email, leah@assemblepgh.org. And if you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.